Hello and welcome to the Afrocentric Woman. Hope that you're doing well. Today I want to talk briefly about um, the lack of love afforded to Black girls, and also um, the lack of girlhood, a true innocence, like a true childhood that is also deprived of Black girls, and helping to correlate that to how we are today in various different struggle love relationships and um, male worshiping and um, seeking validation solely from outside sources only. um, I was thinking about this because they streamed a documentary on another channel, which I may show here from a different perspective. Maybe one day we could watch it together and I could share my thoughts about it, and you ladies can share your thoughts about it as well. But a common theme came up, and that I've heard a lot, and you hear a lot of Black, and um, it's not just uh, unique to young Black women or teen mothers, but from Black women in general. And okay, so there's this theme of like, I had this baby because this baby loves me, and this is the first time I've ever felt loved. I've only heard that a million times, literally only heard that a million times. And you mostly hear that coming from Black women, but you'll also hear that coming from other groups of women who have come from abusive backgrounds. It just happens to be that we tend to have universally bad abusive backgrounds. Like, it's very prevalent. Um, and you hear that, oh, I had this baby because I wanted someone to love me. I wanted someone to accept me. And I wanted to love someone unconditionally. And I wanted someone to love me unconditionally back. And you hear young Black women say this all the time. So, how did she get there? And why does she feel that no one's ever loved her? So she doesn't feel love from her mother. She doesn't feel love from her father. She may not even see him. She doesn't feel love and acceptance from her grandparents. She's not feeling love and acceptance from society. So here she goes, and she's sent out into the world unloved, feeling unwanted, and she's just sent to fend for herself, and she winds up pregnant by a bandit, and she wants this guy to love and accept her. She just wants love and acceptance in some way, shape, or form. And so the babies are coming, and the babies are created um, in a strained environment, under strained circumstances, and from a mother who is ill prepared. One thing that you really need to have to be able to love, because I think that this intention to try to love someone or something unconditionally is a genuine desire, and it's a natural desire. However, if you don't love yourself, you won't succeed at that. And that's where the generational curse, that's where the generational repeat of this situation happens. Because you have these women who have this desire to be loved and to love, but they don't love themselves. Right. So they really haven't fixed that. And so I've heard a lot of women criticize women, and we've seen this, uh, women being very mean to their daughters, very, very mean. The same daughter that she had, because she said she was a teen mom. Let's say she was 18 and she had this baby, and she said, I'm having this baby because, there's a part of me that I want to love and I want to be loved. So she has this girl, and she isn't the most loving mother. And then the daughter starts to come into puberty and she becomes a very mean and bitter woman. And she's just mean to the girl. She doesn't meet her needs. She does not listen to her. She does not protect her. She does not meet her emotional needs. She just provides physical provisions to this girl, right? The things that she didn't have access to, she doesn't give access to the girl. Why? What the hell is going on here? Well, if that mother never cleaned up her own situation with herself, if she never learned to love herself, learn to listen to herself, learn to meet her own emotional needs, learn how to tend to herself as a woman, learn how to celebrate her womanhood, learn that she matters in this world, learn what her gifts and her talents are, learn that she is deserving of rest, learn that she can use her creativity, ingenuity to create a life of wealth and abundance for herself. Learn to take herself out of the line of fire and put herself in a place of safety and solitude. Learn how to create healthy relationships with others and learn how to disengage. She doesn't do any of that. She's bound to be a mean and bitter mother. So that fleeting feeling of wanting to bring someone into the world to love and to love you, you can't do it. She can't do it if she doesn't learn how to love herself. She can't do it. It's impossible because uh they are competing realities, if you will. They're non-congruent. So I'm thinking about these girls and I'm even thinking about baby showers. And we've had a lot of baby shower shaming in the community. Oh, why does the Black community celebrate baby showers, but they don't celebrate weddings? They don't have weddings, these baby mamas. And, finger wagging. But, think about it. These girls have never had a sweet 16. These girls never went through a rites of passage. These girls never went to etiquette school. These girls never, you know, they've never had a time where it was all about them. They never got to be the center of attention. They've never been paid attention to. They've never had something special for them, just for them. So sometimes the closest thing they get to that is a baby shower. There's something fundamentally wrong with that. And what I'm saying is that the baby shower isn't the problem. What led up to the baby shower is the problem. Why is it that Black girls don't get to be celebrated until they have a baby shower or a gender reveal? That's what I'm saying. It's the proverbial, girl who, or child in general who wants the parents' attention, so they just mess up at school. Like they'll do anything for attention. Them they're flying under the radar. No one pays attention to them. No one takes out time to listen to them and validate them. So they, act up. And then now mom or whoever has to go to the school and now they get someone to pay attention to them. So for Black girls who get ignored all their life, why is it that the first time anyone paid attention to them and did anything special for them is when they had a baby shower or a gender reveal? Subconsciously, these girls know that their marriage bells are not about to be ringing. Not with the bandit. They know that. I've even talked to women in their mid to late 20s who are not even banking on marriage, but talk about trying to get somebody to have a child with. And I try to tell them this isn't the way you want to go. But, sometimes young women think they know everything. So you just have to kind of let them bump their head and hopefully, they don't bump it too bad and they'll circle back when they're ready. I just pray. I don't know. You never know what's going to happen. But I think we really need to, if we're going to change the trajectory of um, family life and raising better humans, we really have to look at loving our Black girls, loving them, facilitating their growth, investing into them, inspiring them, giving them a lot of tools, giving them access to a variety of educational paths and, you know, hobbies, and have special time for them. Rites of passage, like their menses need to be celebrated. You know, our girls need more support when they hit puberty. They need love and they need understanding and they need compassion. And if you see a mom who's floundering, if you have access to a Black girl, do whatever you can to pour into her. It could even be just passing her, a book about, just what's going on in her body so she can understand, and saying like, I see you and you matter. And I know that seems very simple and like insignificant, but just seeing a Black girl and saying, I see you, you matter. And I do care what you think and what you have to say and how you show up in the world. And showing that she is deserving of safety. She is deserving of a collective community to protect her. She will not be thrown to the wolves. Black girls need to hear and to feel that. As adults, it's our job to provide protection to our children, to the collective of children in the village. The children should feel and know that they have the right to be children. They get to be children. This isn't time that, it's going to go backwards. Like now is the time, if you're a Black girl or you're an adolescent or teen, that is the time to be able to do it. So sometimes I think I'm not going to say shoot ourselves in the foot, but I think sometimes we contradict ourselves when we attribute, adult like decision making on children. Like even within the space that's supposed to have a better understanding of Black girl development, um, still shaming them and, you shoulda, coulda, woulda, and all of this type of stuff. When these are children, many times they're very young people or children. And so I do believe that it starts with us. At least it can start with us. If we start to treat Black girls the way we expect the world to treat them, we can start doing that now. Because when we can fill them up with love and confidence, um, a sense of pride, a sense of self agency, a sense of advocacy, and knowing where they can go to get support. There's so many women I've talked to who felt like they raised themselves. They felt like they just had to figure it out. They felt like they had to mother their mother. And that's not fair for a Black girl to have to do. You don't have to mother, you shouldn't have to mother your mother. You shouldn't have to be responsible for your mother's emotional well-being. That's traumatic. That is a trauma that so many Black women have. And to this day, I know I recently, within like the last, what, 2 years, had to disengage from my mother emotionally because it was triggering me. I just like, I am not your mom. I actually have a child. I actually have a child that I'm responsible for, and I can't be responsible for you. So I just had to stop. I just had to stop doing it cold turkey. Yeah, I resent a child. Well, um, that's a good point you bring up. Yeah, I can tell you from like my own family's perspective, there's a woman, she is very toxic. And she's so toxic that she actually wants all her children, including her, she has two girls and one boy. Well, they're getting big now. Um, she wants them to fail. She actually wants her children to fail. And so she kept them away from me. I wanted to like I used to take them to cultural events, try to get them in summer camps, acting classes, take them to the museum. And she never wanted them to participate in any of that. So she was just very toxic. And those types of women do exist that don't want their children to succeed. It's very narcissistic. Yeah. A narcissistic mom is very interesting being because it does manifest differently than how it looks for men. So not every single woman is going to be open to the idea of you pouring into their children or their girls because they have other agendas. They're just too damaged to want life-giving information or even healthy people around them. If sometimes you look at people, like I could look at her and she's just surrounded by like a bunch of minions and toxic people, lots of people way younger than her. And when I say way younger than her, I'm talking like just out of high school, ratchet young people. And this woman is in her, now early 40s, but was mid 30s. And so, I just had to accept that that's not, I have to just let those children perish, unfortunately, because they're not my children and I can't make her allow me to be in their life. Hold on, y'all. But there may be children who you have access to whose mothers would be open to you, pouring into their children. And sometimes it's just little comments, like if I see a little girl with an afro or natural hairstyle, especially afros, I go out of my way uh to compliment little black girls when their hair is like not perfect. It's not like edges laid and this and that. And, when it's just kind of like she woke up and, she put some oil in her hair, she shook it out and she left out. Like that's where I want to make sure that I compliment her. Like, girl, you look beautiful. I love your hair. Looks so healthy or whatever. So it may not be this long, ongoing thing, but little things wherever we can, um, to validate our girls and to show them that we love them, we see them, we appreciate them, they belong, isn't is important. And I think that as a collective, we really have to get to the point where we allow our girls to have princess moments. Have these, the sweet 16 or the milestone birthdays or a debutante or a beauty pageant or a dance recital or things of that nature where they get to have their princess moments. They get to dress up. They get to be the center of attention. People dote on them, compliment them on their beauty, their natural beauty, and also their talents. And our girls need it. That's how we avoid these baby showers, you know? The girls and even the women who are in a situation where they're bringing children into the world under strained circumstances. How many of them had a strong foundation of love and validation and a true girlhood, or how many of them were robbed of their girlhood? How many of them didn't really have a girlhood, weren't allowed to be children fully? Never was a princess, never was the center of attention. Don't know, like if you said, name 10 things you love about yourself, how many of these women, these girls and young women would struggle to create a list of 10 things that they love and adore about themselves? Many of them would struggle to create a list. And so that's therein lies the problem. So we need to tease out this concept and brainstorm and devote ourselves to have not having a love deficit, but reversing the love deficit that's in Black girls and have a love overflow, a love overflow for our girls. In that documentary, I think the girls said something like, "Well, you know, I had this baby because I wanted someone to love me." And listen, I think she said, "Listen to me." She wanted to be heard, and she said, "I just went out here. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know what I was doing. No one ever told me anything." And then she's like, "When I got pregnant, my grandmother, how many, that was in the 80s. So that's the boomer moms. She would either be a boomer or an older Gen Xer, maybe an older Gen Xer. So she was really young in that video. So she'd probably be like an older generation Xer. And it's like, wow, that's she was ill-equipped for work for the world. She was very ill-equipped, not even ready for these bandits, not ready to navigate, and just not ready. So I do believe that we have an opportunity to do what we can for our girls. And there's a lot of power in pouring into them. And that will resolve so many issues that people shame about, and you know it will remedy so much. The answer is loving them. That's the great thing about it, because it really gives you a chance, especially if you are a mom already, it gives you an opportunity to, as you work out stuff, you're just going to be a better mother. You're just going to be a better mother. The more you clean up within yourself, the more you're going to have to pour into your child. I believe that sometimes these women withhold love because they feel resentful because they didn't get it. And it's the same thing with the bandits as well. They feel like nobody loved me, so I'm not going to love this little kid. My dad abandoned me, so I'm going to abandon my child. A lot of times, Black women, they won't abandon their child, but they will abandon them emotionally. And sometimes it's subconscious. I think it's a subconscious energy running in the background that, hey, when I started my mints, nobody threw a party for me. It wasn't a special occasion. When you don't have confidence in yourself, and you are Black male worshiping, and and they tell you that you're washed up and you don't have any value, but and it's all about the young people. If you buy into that, yeah, when you're beautiful, I mean, y'all, when I tell you, my daughter, is going to be freaking gorgeous. Okay. And I tell her that all the time. You're going to be smarter than me. You're going to be more beautiful than me. And I'm happy about it. And I'm also scared about it too. But when you don't have self confidence and your daughter starts filling out and getting her hips and her booty, and she, is looking beautiful and so vibrant. And if you don't have confidence as a woman, it can be bitter. It can be bitter and you can be resentful, especially if you have not fixed yourself. That's the problem with a lot of these women who are not giving their daughters what their daughters need to succeed in life is that they have not resolved their own issues. They have not resolved their issues. They do not have confidence. So they don't have confidence to instill into their daughters. And instead of being supportive, they are bitter and jealous. The only way you can be bitter and jealous of a young woman coming into puberty and into her womanhood is if you are a black male worshiper, because that black male worshiping culture values pedophilia at young girls and tell you that you don't have any value in their construct. So if you buy into that con, it will put you in a state of not only being adversarial to your own daughter, but being adversarial to women in general. And as I told you, that's something that my godmother always told me. Even in the midst of my pick me days, she always said, "You never want to try to be any man's favorite. Don't ever get caught into favoritism. Don't try to be the favorite. Getting caught up in favoritism will sabotage your relationship with women. You will be, you'll be very adversarial towards women if you are trying to be the favorite of a male. Always value your sisterhood. This is what I was taught. This is what I was taught. And this is a very valuable philosophy because it will kind of help guide how you interact with other women. Because I even hear some women trying to help women and they're like, oh, this woman's a whore or this woman is a this or a homewrecker. And I'm like, where's the accountability on the male? Like, you know what I mean? You want to help women, but you also want to uh, weaponize your marriage and other yourself and elevate yourself over other women, and you're elevating yourself over other women for no other reason that you have a piece of paper contract with a male that is reversible, by the way. It's not like it's a forever status of being, but that's detrimental to sisterhood if you other yourself and take pleasure in putting other women down based off of what a man what male desires. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. What are y'all talking about in the chat? Date out or bleach your skin? That option's in my mind. Um, what do you mean something grand? Could you explain your earlier message? Very true that if you have a male son, he's giving the love and you didn't receive from a man. Yeah, that's a very, interesting concept. And I think a lot of that's getting a bit more sophisticated. Um, I think when we talk about that, uh, because it's a detrimental type of love, right? That it's an incestuous weirdo man of the house when he ain't the man of the house, type of love that a lot of black females give to their male children. And, she is handicapping him that type of interaction is handicapping him, he won't be able to succeed in life with that kind of love or attention or that dynamic of relationship. Um, yes, because with all children, including boys, but especially with boys, love has to become conditional, even mother to son. Sons should not get unconditional love in perpetuity. That's just it's just not feasible because you're not setting him up for success in life. Men need to learn how to deal with adversity, and they need to learn how to produce. And if you don't train your son to produce, he will surely fail in life. If you don't train him to produce, he will be dependent upon another male group. You train him to produce by rewarding him for production. It's how you train him to produce. He needs to just know that it's expected. I think that, setting up an expectation of your son in and of itself would be monumental. So many women just, he don't have to do shit but just be alive and like do the bare effing minimum. And women and the mothers accept that and they don't ever give their son a mission. I mean, that's like that's something that could be done tomorrow. Give your son a mission. Son, this is what I expect of you as a man. I expect this, I expect that. You need to take care of your sisters. I expect for you to contribute to the security of this home. you know, I expect for you to be producing ink. I expect for you to save this amount of money by this date. I expect, they don't give them any expectations at all. None. And making good grades is not enough. Not when you have a son. It's not enough. They need to start talking. One day, son, you're going to be the head of a household. You ain't ahead of this one, but one day you will be. And this is what's going to be expected of you. Those conversations are oftentimes like null and void. That's something that can literally be done tomorrow. But, I was thinking the other day, part of the reason why I think um, part of the reason why I think that women do so bad with their sons is because they don't know how to deal with men at all. They don't know how to deal with men, period. I was listening to one woman the other day on YouTube. She was talking with her son, and I love the way she was talking to her son. She talked to him like he was like, it was age appropriate. You know what I mean? It was age appropriate, but she was kind of relating to him as like he was a responsible individual that she was like interacting with, and not like he's just a toddler that needs to be managed or, appeased and things of that nature. It was just very age appropriate. I like the maturity that he had. He had a sense of responsibility. He knew what his contribution was to the household. He had a respect for his mother. She spoke to him with respect. And I could just tell she knows how to talk to men, period. Like she just knows how to handle men. And I was like, I think that's the missing piece because I talk to women all the time. I talk to Black women about how to talk to men, how to handle, how to get what you want, and how to maneuver their male egos to serve yourself. And I was like, Black women really struggle with that. And it's no different with their sons. They just coddle them because that's all they know to do. They don't know how to train him and make him do what you need him to do and make him understand you want this love, you want this affection, you want a roof over, you want this, you got to produce. It's the same. I mean, it's the same. They're all the same, you know, and that's the same with your son. You have to know how to talk to men to make them do what you need them to do. But that's another conversation for another day. I want to talk about girls right now and how they need love. And we can't raise they just have very different needs. And I think uh that's another thing that we see, that girls and boys have different needs. But if women don't understand how to handle men, they tend to just kind of like raise them like girls, when it's like, no, he should have more expectations in different areas. It's not the same. But, because I listen to sometimes they're like, oh, my son graduated high school and he's never been to jail. And they like, what do you want me to do? Like, congratulate you for like the bare minimum? Like, girl, that is not an accomplishment. That is not worth repeating. Tell me your son, has a portfolio. Tell me your son, you know, made enough money to like buy you an upgraded car, or, your son put his sister through college. Tell me your son installed a new security system for your house, or change the oil, something that would be worth repeating. But staying out of jail and graduating high school is not worth repeating, ma'am. But anywho, I've gone out. Let me see what else y'all talking about. I've seen that. Sweet 16 never celebrated. These women throw their daughters to the wolves. The same mammies would rather me mentor their sons. It's disgusting. Wow, dark skinned gentlewoman. Wow. I don't know what to do with these rogue mammies. Well, I think luckily for us, the girls do have an outlet that maybe, many of us didn't have. So, they found a lot of, refuge and understanding in a lot of the social media content that we're putting out. That's a little drop in the bucket at least, but yeah, I don't know. I've seen it says at a Sweet 16. They fear you'll take their children away from them. Exactly, narcissists. Did you hear about that woman in Canada who had a child, left it with the father, and when the DNA test showed it wasn't his, she said to give the baby up for adoption? Wow. Wow. Well, that might have been the best thing. I didn't hear about that story, but that might be the best thing for her if she doesn't want to be a mom. The only advice I have is to keep kids off social media. That stuff gives kids unreasonable expectations. Yeah, there's some good stuff on social media, like some of the channels that are talking about Black women empowerment. I think that those are good information. Natural hair and makeup, and um, different educational paths, how to get scholarships, um, is also on there. How not to pay for college. There's all kinds of good stuff, but I don't like the self-esteem issues that come with like always seeing these curated images of like perfection. I do think that's very difficult for young people these days. And also the predators that are on social media lurking for the young people's pages, and also um, the negative things that are on there. Her mom was a boomer, sis, in that documentary. Was she? Because if she was 15 in 1986, I think that makes her an older Generation X. I mean, we could do the math on it, but nonetheless, younger boomers and older Generation X have a lot in common anyway. So similar mentality, you know, similar mentality either way it goes. Was yeah, because my mom was like in her at that time, she was like in her like what, mid 20s, late late 20s or early 30s in that time. Let me see. Or like her mid to late 20s. So if that girl was 15, she was like a whole 10 years younger than my mom. My mom is a boomer, and my mom is a younger boomer. So I think that would make her an older Generation X. But anywho, like I said, I think that the mentality is similar either way it goes. but we see that lack of love coming down the pipeline. I want to talk to my grandmother about um, her first husband, my grandfather, but I know he was abusive, so I'm not really sure how to bring it up. Um, but I just think that I think it's fascinating that my grandmother was in this abusive relationship. All of her daughters, including my mother, got into abusive relationship with bandits, and then me still not getting it right. And then my cousins, I had one cousin who married well. Um, and then, the rest of them no. And then the boys, they just kind of like they effed up a lot of people's lives before they got it right. I would say that the boys didn't really grow up until, you know, damn near 40. And so there was a lot of collateral damage that they collected, creating one of them, creating like these children without fathers participating in the house. My cousins did that. They participated in that behavior. And my grandmother, bless her heart, I love her. She's a mammy and she makes excuses for her son and for her grandsons. Like a lot of excuses for them. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. But it does fascinate me, like the lineage. And I want to understand it because I need, to really fully stop doing something. I like to dig down into the root of it. And I'd love to know more about my great grandfather. What all did he do in the household on the matrilineal side? And my grandmother's first husband. And I already know about like my mom's choices in males has been horrendous and continues to be. Continues to be. All of my grandmother's daughters didn't uh chose bad relationships. And part of that is because everything around to choose from was so dysfunctional and abusive, including my father. His brothers were all trash. His dad was trash. His sons are trash. Both of them are self-hating. Anyway, they're really bad. They're really terrible. But I'm really fascinated about that because, I just can't imagine. My grandmother is she's just such a mild person, and she used to be way more meek than she is now. So I'm just like, what kind of character of man could hurt her? What kind of demon could like hurt her because she's such a sweet woman and she was a devout Kojic woman. Oh, devout. And my great grandmother was a church mother. So very religious family. And I'm just trying to, understand. I think it would help me understand this lineage. Uh, because if my grandmother didn't, she couldn't equip her daughters. She didn't really set them up for, she didn't help them maneuver anything. They just kind of were preyed upon, I feel, in retrospect. They were preyed upon by the bandits in the neighborhood and fell and just like ended up having children with them. And here we are today. You know, here we are today. My grandfather whooped everybody in this town, killed one, put 500 stitches in his dad, countless stitches in others. Um, After like 6 years, you're kind of a man mode versus what girls do. We need to go back to the hood and turn these women into wives and give the kids the stepdad they always needed. Yeah, maybe. I think it's very important that, yeah, that this is the thing, just on a side note. Um, I've noticed that a lot of guys do not want to confront their demons. They don't want to confront their demons. They just want to gloss over everything and they don't want to deal with the ugliness of their upbringing. And if you're not willing to deal with the ugliness and clean it up, you're not going to be any good to anybody. You have to be willing to go there. I haven't met many who are willing to go there to really, really face everything head on. So I think that's part of the reason why my brother is demonstrating in his life in the way that he is, because he was willing to confront a lot of his demons and he was willing to um, make amends with people that he has hurt in his life. And then he made a commitment to being a good man. And he is in service to women and children, including me and my child, his wife and her children, my mother, my grandmother, and my aunts. My brother lives a life of service to women and children. So, you know, it's possible, but I've acknowledged he's rare. That's not really that normal. He could have just been abandoned his whole life. He could have. I have cousins who are. I don't have any mods here. I think there's a troll in the chat. But anywho, y'all, I will let you go. I'm gonna take the little one to the park, um, because that's what she wants to do. But yeah, I'm getting ready for a milestone birthday for her, so I definitely want to do. I think I'm gonna do like a tea party princess theme, and I'm going to allow her to get her ears pierced because I knew when I had her, I wanted ear piercing to be something special. I didn't want to just do it as a baby. I wanted to make a big deal about it. So she has been looking forward to getting her ears pierced since she was like 3 or 4 years old. She's been, really looking forward to getting her ears pierced. And so that's going to be part of our milestone birthday. And we'll do a princess theme tea party. And I'm thinking about like renting out a swanky hotel ballroom. So I was just thinking in my head, oh my gosh, I better, really look into it because I need to start making reservations. If you think about like graduations and wedding season, graduation and wedding season will be here before you know it. And a lot of that stuff is going to get booked up. So I need to go ahead and just make a decision on a date and get that going. Um, because I've learned, I mean, I made a commitment even before I had her that uh, she's going to have milestones and special days, lots and lots of special days. Every day is special, but just some days that she gets to be a princess is super important. And I think that all Black girls need that. And another thing is, I talked to her about how I felt before I had her, like when I was carrying her, how excited I was to have her and you know, what a blessing she is into my life. So she knows that I sent for her and that she belongs. Um, I've talked to a lot of Black girls who overheard their parents say that they never wanted them, either their mother or their father or through an argument or whatever. And that really can weigh in on the psyche of a girl to feel like nobody wanted her and she shouldn't have even been here. And when we look at the S rate of our girls and the self harm that happens with our girls, the self harm and the self offing, a lot of that is rooted in feeling like they should have never been born. And so I always try to let mine know, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad I had you, and the like. And I think our Black girls need more and more and more of that. Okay, we're going to the park. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye.